When you awaken, inhale deeply and determine that it's time to get some exercise. Take a little walk or stretch a little, or maybe attempt a technique you saw online. Remind yourself that you're doing this for your health, but what if you didn't know it's subtly harming the thing itself? You're attempting to keep your heart safe. I realize that seems extreme, but following the 60 years old, the way your body reacts to exercise has changed since 10 or yes, your heart was wiser 20 years ago, but additionally more sensitive to certain kinds of movement that was quite effective when we younger people can now cause more harm than excellence, not because you're frail, but because your heart is worthy of something different. Care now? I would like to gently demonstrate 5 exercises that could be done slowly destroying your heart in silence without you despite being aware of it. They don't look dangerous. In fact, they are frequently advertised as fit but in the incorrect body at the wrong age and incorrect behavior, and they end up quiet dangers. So don't be alarmed. Isn't only about stopping. I'll also discuss safer and more efficient ways to move. Substitutes that safeguard your heart and assist you in feeling powerful, energized, and self-assured once more. So if you continue to have faith in remaining active in order to completely live and in defending the lovely heart that's carried you through this video quite a bit. Before we get started, would you please do me a favor and leave a brief put a number 1 in the comment section below if you desire more truthful, heart-centered health videos such as this, and click subscribe. Become a member of our Health 365 community. Every video is made with you in mind, okay? Let's get started with the first exercise. I'm pleading with you to think again. It could be the most popular one of all. Exercise number 1. The saddest things I've ever witnessed throughout my career as a cardiac physician. These seniors who make every effort to stay active ultimately cause harm to the organ itself. They frequently attempt to safeguard it. Begins innocently with a brand new gym. Learn a routine on YouTube that guarantees youthful vitality, or even a well-intentioned fitness instructor who advises, just push through it. However, pushing too hard after 60. Let's talk about risk instead of bravery. HIIT stands for high-intensity interval training. Quick, as the younger generation calls it, spurts of vigorous motion, succeeded by short breaks, are fashionable and well-liked. But it's also among the riskiest forms of physical activity for senior citizens, and I'll explain why. Our blood changes as we age. The heart is naturally stiffened by vessels. Muscular mass and our capacity to recuperate from abrupt increases in effort slows down, but I don't think that's based on research that was published in the Journal of Medical Sciences of Gerontology, which discovered that elderly individuals engaging in HIIT had noticeably greater rises in heart rate and systolic blood pressure variability, both indicators of cardiovascular strain. In contrast to those engaging in sustained, moderate exercise at the moment, consider that you are performing one of those brief exercises, such as a minute of rapid squats, sprinting for 30 seconds in place of 20 rest for a few seconds, and repeat. Your heart does not have an opportunity to stabilize. Rather, it must go from 0 to 100 repeatedly, which is equivalent to flooring the in an ancient car, repeatedly pressing the gas pedal with brakes that are worn out. Something is to provide. Mr. Tom, 72, one of my patients, believed he was doing himself a favor by adhering to his grandson's training DVDs that he used with no discomfort and no gain to say, but following only 2 weeks of these harsh sessions, he ultimately found himself in my office feeling lightheaded, short of breath, and an extremely erratic heart. His blood pressure's rhythms had been spiked without his knowledge, believed it to be simply aging-related weariness. However, there was a warning sign in his heart, so what should you do instead? Motion that complements your body rather than against it. A leisurely 30-minute brisk walk, tai chi, swimming at a park these days may not appear very dramatic, yet they are really powerful. American Heart Association study. According to an association, older persons who walked for only 150 minutes at a moderate pace per week had a 31% decreased chance of heart-related incidents, in contrast to seniors who are sedentary. Don't have to sweat a lot if you want to keep strong. Rhythm. You must be gentle. You must keep the beating heart safe, serving you each day for more than 60 years. Exercise number 2. Let's change gears now and have a conversation about hard lifting and crunches. You may believe that I'm merely attempting to maintain my great muscles, but what if I told you that performing these exercises incorrectly or engaging in excessive amounts of them could be putting your heart under harmful pressure every time you exert yourself during a crunch or get ready to lift something big? Dumbbell, something significant occurs within your body, and not in a positive manner. Something has suddenly increased. known as intrathoracic and abdominal pressure that doesn't simply remain, it presses inward in your chest or abdomen and up, making your heart work more. Considerably more difficult to maintain. A 2018 study from the Journal of Prevention in Europe, according to Cardiology, isometric and intense resistance training resulted in acute increases in blood pressure, particularly in elderly individuals, as one of the participants in there, his systolic pressure skyrocketed in the 60s to more than 200 saturation when engaging in weightlifting, dangerously elevated, and the most terrifying aspect, he sensed no warning indications. These internal surges cannot be prevented, immediately see or feel, but your heart does, particularly if you already have hidden plaque in stiff arteries or a history of hypertension, which many adults over 60 do not even have. Knowing that, allow me to introduce you to Susan. She is 68 years old and vibrant, and wanted to become more resilient after her granddaughter inquired if she were able to carry her rucksack. She would begin performing lifts and crunches, weights at a nearby gym without a coach's direction. She simply replicated what she observed. Younger people doing 3 weeks in, she thought faint during her final facial rep, went pale, believing it to be dehydration causes her blood pressure to rise. Was fortunate to have leapt so high. Didn't totally destroy her heart, was being smashed rather than reinforced. Is to empower you, not to frighten you. You don't need to stop building. In actuality, strength maintenance is among the most crucial things you can do to maintain your independence as you get older, but it must be carried out carefully. Therefore, what's the better method of exchanging the heavy dumbbells? Use controlled slow for resistance bands motions as opposed to quick, jerky ones when lifting. Don't hold your breath. That in and of itself can raise your blood pressure quickly. And if you are able to collaborate with a trainer who is cognizant of senior physiology and cardiac safety, you simply must locate the appropriate one. Keep in mind that strength isn't about quantity. It's about how well you can lift. Live stress-free and injury-free. Speaking of pressure and without fear, the greatest risk doesn't always originate within our bodies but from the surroundings, particularly when the weather abruptly shifts and we're unprepared for the potential impact on our hearts. Exercise number 3 that appears innocuous, even revitalizing. Occasionally, a morning stroll in the clear, jogging lightly in the wintertime on a sunny, it sounds nice in the afternoon, but if the temperature outside is over 60, can subtly transform a good behavior into a heart hazard. You may not feel comfortable disappearing, but the way your heart feels changes in temperature have an impact on bodies. Alters significantly as you get older. When your blood vessels could easily grow and shrink, the internal thermostat was swiftly adjusted. However, this system degrades with age. Flexibility can lead to problems. Amid periods of extreme heat and cold, your blood vessels in cold weather tighten. They tighten in order to protect bodily heat. This seems like a clever idea, a survival tactic, but it also boosts your blood pressure. Research that was released in the American Journal of Hypertension discovered that people over 60 had a lot of increased measurements of blood pressure during colder months, particularly after sunrise exposure to increased pressure that results in a heart strain, particularly one that may already be exerting more effort because of age. On the other end of the range, when your blood vessels dilate because it's too hot, to relieve the heat that this forces, they open up. Your heart must beat more quickly in order to sustain blood flow along with a small amount of dehydration, and your blood thickens now. Your heart is beating, and it's harder to push. Over time, to help you relax, one of my Robert, 74, a longtime sufferer, used to stroll daily at approximately 1 o'clock p.m., just when the sun was at its highest. He believed everything was fine, except for a scorching July. He passed out in the middle of the afternoon. His heart wasn't on his typical path, responding to physical activity. It was responding to, we discovered, his blood later due to heat stress. The pressure had decreased too rapidly, and in an attempt to keep up, his heart rate increased. That instance may have been avoided, and for that reason, I am now telling you that the temperature outdoors and the time of day are equally important as the workout. How do you maintain your level of activity without risking your heart? Choose cooler, more stable settings early in the morning before the sun becomes too strong, or indoor areas with adequate ventilation and steady temps. Drink plenty of water, and I not merely drinking water after you hydrate before beginning the walk, then continue, both during and after the activity. Wear layers to allow for peeling in cold temperatures away from things you don't need, and always hear the first mutterings from a mild shortness of breath in your body or mild vertigo. Those are signals you cannot afford to disregard. But you don't have to give up your love or your early strolls of fresh air. But you must make a decision. Your timing effectively, as when it comes to you, even the most exquisite the weather may turn into a silent foe if you're not being cautious, but there's still a concealed stressor that isn't related to the weather but from quick, young motions that can overcome an aging body. Let's get started. That there will be a discussion on exercise number 4 quick workout that leaves us feeling. Doing some jumping jacks and a short dance lesson with a quick cardio workout, it seems as though we are going back in time. But for elderly people, particularly those over 60 attempting to follow the beat of sometimes, young people might cause more harm than good. I've seen it far too often. Adults enrolling in exercise classes in the community, keeping up with the rapid-fire YouTube exercises that attempt to replicate the burpee step. It appears that jumps or stair sprints stimulating both inside and outside your body's equilibrium and circulation. Your heart might be feeling overwhelmed. Let's begin with what actually occurs throughout your body during these abrupt jerking motions. As we get older and our system responds more slowly, and our reflexes aren't as acute, balance slightly declines trustworthy, and our arteries gradually lose their elasticity, which indicates that when you leap, swiftly shift, or alter course, your blood vessels and the heart must react in milliseconds. And occasionally they just is a study in the Journal of Aging Not Possible. An exercise demonstrated that individuals above 65 experienced a markedly delayed heart's reaction to abrupt exercise, particularly when engaging in activities that needed coordination and balance. This delay may cause cardiac irregularities in oxygen flow, or increases in blood pressure that make you lightheaded on the ground, feeling out of breath, or worse. Mrs. Ellen was a happy 70-year-old woman who cherished Zumba, was proud of her for being able to maintain up with younger players, but throughout one pattern with rapid sidesteps and hopes, she stumbled for no other reason than awkward, but due to the fact that her equilibrium was confused by a slight lag between her body's response to her brain's command. Thankfully, she didn't break anything. However, she was disturbed by the fall, and she informed me that her heart had been racing for more than an hour following the conclusion of class. Is not about surrendering, rather, it's about selecting the appropriate movement type for your current body, not the one you had at 30 when you decide to go more slowly. Tai Chi, water and other fluid movements, aerobic exercises, or even mild stretching. Something lovely occurs with your body. Is it surprising that it has bolstered your heart? Is calmed and not hurled into chaos? Your muscles, joints, and equilibrium all get one of the most powerful harmony benefits of mild movement that are often overlooked is how your independence is maintained. When you feel assured and stable and secure, you will be more likely to maintain daily relocation, which is where the true change doesn't start in one intense workout, but on a regular basis in silence, constancy. And although quick movements can cause your system exercising too near to a calm bedtime that makes your heart uneasy in a different way, let's discuss it. Exercise number 5. Afterward, the house becomes peaceful after a long day. Several elderly have finished their dinners. It seems like the ideal moment to relocate. Perhaps it's a quick stroll for a few stretches, or maybe a quick aerobic workout. It feels serene right before bed. Useful, but what if I told you that, even softly, moving too late at night might steal stealthily from your heart one of sleep's most important healing windows? It's repair, not just rest, and for your heart, particularly after 60 deep, real recuperation occurs when you sleep well. Occurs, but if you work out too near, your body may remain vigilant before bed, longer than necessary, which isn't simply a theory that is supported by scientific research. According to experimental physiology, late evening exercises greatly increase core body and heart rate at night temperature in senior citizens, and while younger participants went back to baseline in a few of hours, elders' nervous systems continued to be highly active, longer, preventing them from falling into a deep, healing slumber, which is due to the fact that even mild exercise encourages the sympathetic nervous system fight or flight mode. Your adrenaline keeps your heart rate up, persists, making your body believe it's still on when your system stays after the move. It interferes when wired late at night. Using your circadian rhythm, the organic cycle that signals when your body should wind up, restoration, recovery, and down. One of my Mr. Lee, a 69-year-old retired patient, the teacher used to go on walks in the evenings to exhaust himself. He believed it would assist him in falling asleep, but instead he began awakening at 3 in the morning, heart pounding, fluttering. Initially he believed it was fear, But after modifying his gait switching from night to late morning routine, his sleep really improved. Medication, but the timing is better. Even more crucial to comprehend is that having trouble sleeping is more than just feeling drowsy the following day. It's directly related to higher blood pressure, insulin resistance, inflammation, and yes, your heart's erratic heartbeat doesn't only put in a lot of effort during the day, it requires the calm of the night to recuperate, equilibrium to restart, and if you're persistently interfering with that procedure even with excellent intentions, your heart begins to not keep up. So what should you do? Shift your training sessions to the morning or in the early afternoon. Your body gets every cardiovascular advantage of motion without obstructing thus, which are kept mending by darkness. Soft, soothing light that stretches far breathing, perhaps some meditation. But allow your nerve system and heart to understand that the day is over and that we have investigated each of these 5 hidden. I want to leave you with one habit. Last message, a sincere reminder that growing older does not imply abandoning it. Indicates that you've chosen a more sensible route. Tips for senior health thus far? And that's significant. Powerful. You're deciding to look after not only today but also for the years to come. That might be a true strength. You recognized yourself in one of our habits. Discussed, perhaps you're already considering a minor adjustment you can make, which is why it doesn't taking a big transformation is simply one wise decision. Carried out carefully and repeatedly throughout time. Keep in mind that your heart has been beating. Difficult for you each and every day. It doesn't. Just a little awareness would be greatly appreciated. A small amount of tact and regard for your current stage of life. Therefore today, give up the notion that more is better. Make smarter, not tougher, decisions and proceed carefully. Take intentional breaks and pay close attention to what has been quietly in your heart, attempting to express whether this video was helpful. Have a different perspective? Leave a comment. Just one thing you're going to do below, change beginning today, and remember to subscribe to and like Health 365 for more basic life improving advice, stronger and more positive every day. We're all in this together. Care.